Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another Lead Squared webinar. This is a special webinar. This is the APAC holiday edition. So we'll be discussing the tips to run your financial services sales on autopilot. So as we know, most of us are on holiday already or are just going to get there. So how do we ensure things keep moving, things keep running while we are on holiday? So I have two speakers right here who are going to take us through that. We have Rob Joseph, who is the founder at CoinGuide and My SMSF Property. So he is also a serial entrepreneur who comes with over 2 decades of experience in the finance industry and has worked with different sectors like stockbroking, fintech, especially crypto, and is also a certified blockchain expert. So, like a lot of things there, a lot to learn from Rob. And to take us through this, and the harder job is for Aditya, who is our very own head of SMB business for the Lead Squared Oceania region. So he is the moderator for the day. Before I hand it over to our speakers, let me just take you through some of the things that we will discuss in this webinar. We will, of course, discuss the learnings from 2022. What are the mistakes we made? What are things we learned? Some of the trends that are shaping the market going forward. How do we ensure a healthy sales pipeline for quarter 1? Everyone's worried about that. And then we will also know what our bosses really do before they set off for the holidays. So with that, I hand it over to Aditya and Rob. Please take it away, enlighten us with your knowledge.
Well, thanks a lot, Shivani. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be on the platform. It's also a privilege to be speaking to Rob, whom I've known for a better part of the year now. I've been fortunate enough to have that relationship, and I've seen him seeing him closely working on businesses as he advises them, for excellence in operations, for just navigating the market. So, looking forward to learn from that experience. And with that, Rob, let's just jump straight into it. So before
Sure.
we talk about
Thank
the
you,
new
guys.
year, we talk about the segment. What? Tell us something about 2022. What did you learn about what was your view about the business, about consumer preferences? Did the market change? We had a big pandemic in the wake earlier in the season. So how did it all go?
Yeah, I guess for us and maybe like a lot of businesses, we've since COVID, we've had to adapt and adopt, online services and digitize to grow as we've been all, closed up and locked down in lockdowns around the world. So that's been, I guess, for my kind of businesses have been predominantly online. That's been kind of a big thing, a good thing, because we've always been online. And so this post-pandemic, that's just enhanced our delivery and made us more of a focus for a lot of people that would normally not look for a face-to-face kind of business. So that's probably been the plus for us in 2022.
Great. So, personally, which sector, specifically in financial services, which businesses do you feel they worked for better, they adopted to change, and which businesses do you feel, which segments, which subsegments, or types of businesses did you feel that they still have a long way to go to adapting to the new world or the new way of business?
Okay, I guess the first part, I guess financial businesses, again, which I've got, and crypto businesses, which I've got familiarity with, have been very good at adopting more technology and digitizing.
Mhm.
Where I found, particularly the old school businesses, retail businesses have been the ones that suffered the most and have found it hard to make that bridge online. Having said that, of course, more and more are using online delivery and to bridge that gap to an extent. But overall, I think what you'll find is that financial businesses have made a good attempt at going to digitize, to
Mhm.
engage customers, lower costs, improve efficiencies in delivering their service.
That's amazing to know. And when we talk about digitization or digital transformation, so in you have such great experience with businesses of all kinds. You've run your own businesses. So when we talk about digital transformation or digitization, what
Yep.
are certain key aspects to this transformation or to this process that the business should be mindful of?
Yeah, brilliant question, Ditya. So I guess the big one, the first one is, I guess, looking at digital, CRMs, client engagement tools, or lead funneling,
Mhm.
and client engagement and retention. there's two parts to it in any business. As Shivani was suggesting, we're all worried about next year and wondering how we're going to feed the funnel. And the second part of it is when you've got your clients, like with any business, we're looking to ensure that we can retain them and minimize that, the drop-off ratio that every business suffers. So really, that's the big focus for us, and I think all businesses is really looking at ensuring that you can feed the funnel. Technology is a good CRM that's sufficient, particularly marketing. Feeding that all into a platform like Lead Squared makes a big difference because, I guess it's worthwhile pointing out that historically businesses have used multiple different tools. I mean, a separate chatbot, landing pages that are separate. You might have, your CRM with another provider. Have to then integrate all that is time consuming and costly. Where it's in one shop or one house makes it a lot easier, particularly for managing the lead flow and the retention of clients.
That's so brilliantly said, and great learning from all of us. And with that, I'll straight away jump to the something closer to our topic of the discussion. So when we talk about holidays and you know we talk about having good time with our families, our loved ones, but we also have in our minds about what will happen next year when the business starts, when the shop opens. So first of all, how critical do you feel is preparing for your businesses, preparing for the new season, preparing for that transitional phase from the holidays to the new year, from a business perspective or from a lead pipeline perspective? How critical do you feel it is?
I think it's critical for every business. I think for most businesses, depending if you're small, medium, or large, I guess the first focus is retention of clients, and the second is feeding that funnel to get new business. Looking at what messages, your collateral, your websites, and looking at how that sits with with new prospective clients given the market conditions. So that right now, to take an example that's quite real for us, we're just updating our website. We'll launch by the end of January. Just like a shop front, you do a refurb. We've got to do our website at the minimum of every 2 years because that's the front end of our business. People are looking at it. Once it gets stale after 2 years, it's too old, and it's an important facet of I guess it's like your brochure. If you're doing a face-to-face business, online website is shop front of shop. So that's a big part. And then I guess, looking at, the systems, evaluating what we did well, what we did, where we've fallen short, how we can improve things, adding on new partners, obviously mix of online marketing, and then, of course, network marketing as well, the old style. B2C, B2B, a mix of both to address growth next year.
Awesome. That's some great points made. And talking about the today's major macro factors, like for example, huge volatility in the market, interest rates going up, there's huge inflation. So do you feel that this specifically can be a huge factor that might need to churn or might need to flow of customers? They're going onto the market, exploring more services, and how can businesses be mindful and prepare for this scenario or the impact of this scenario in the new year?
Absolutely. As you said, Aditya, the big issue is interest rates going up, and that flows on to inflation, cost of living concerns, food, petrol, and energy, and that has a bearing on businesses as well. So if people got less money in their wallets, they're looking to economize, spend less, and get equivalent services. So that's certainly driving a lot of interest for us, and I imagine it's the same for other businesses in the financial services sector. But we see a lot of people shopping around to see if they can get more value and save more money and ultimately put more money in the I guess the personal coffers, so you've got discretionary spend capital there available.
This is so good. And something that I personally wanted to ask, and I'm sure that even our audience will find it interesting to know, is you have huge experience with crypto space, and with the new age of fintech, so to speak, right? So which is at the cutting edge of not just the way financial services are offered, but also in a very modern approach to how customer service or the interaction with customer is handled. Now, what can a traditional financial services business like learn from these new age businesses? How what are the best practices of fintech, of new age financial services businesses that everyone can focus on?
Yeah, great question, Adish, again. Yeah, look, I think the big thing we see with crypto exchanges is, I mean, it was a bit of a phenomenon that most of them don't have a call-in number. It's email and chat support, and I guess it's been phenomenal to see that people have adopted that approach. You know, you've got no other option, and so it's efficient for everyone because it's phone interactions are very inefficient. People forget what you relay. There's no record of it, and you know, it might go in one ear and come out the other. So when you look at the way that crypto exchanges in particular are using chatbots and email, particularly chatbots, you get a summary of the conversation. You can refer back to it if you've got questions in your decision-making process to decide on acquiring that service. So I think, look, so the engagement tools, probably the way of putting it, have been exceptional, and a lot of the market is looking to follow. We're looking at what we see in the stockbroking market is definitely copying a lot of the crypto examples and other services, financial services as well. So where we can engage other technologies, I guess, calendarizing meetings, giving people options within a month's space to work out a time slot to have a consultation about a particular service. And then, of course, the back-end technology, how it engages and, you know, reinforces the value points of the business.
That's some brilliant points there, and I'm sure the businesses can learn a lot, by adopting these practices, which are not just new age, but also a much better way to interact with customers in the new scenario. Because I believe with the advent of social media was a decade back, but what has been built on top of the layers of the internet, in how the consumers access information, how they go about searching for new information, how they go about exploring new products, has changed completely, and is also in a process of flux, in a continuous process of change. And businesses need to study these new processes. I believe they need to be close to all the touch points of with the customers. When, for example, I know of these companies, these lending companies who are participating with TikTokers, making use of content, just to create that share of mind in the in the consumers, in the target segments. And this is just another example of the outreach, and contextualizing in the new age. Well, great points discussed there, and I'd like to move the theme of our discussion to the next step now. So, and which is about the challenges the business faces, and what is the importance of the holiday season, in terms of which is a transitional season, right? Like
Yeah.
businesses move from one end of the year to start of a new season. The new we still have some time to go before the change of the financial year. So, what challenges do you think that a business leader faces in this transitionary period? So, for example, we talked about how critical that is. You mentioned how critical this is to prepare for the lead pipeline. But how critical, what are the challenges that business face in solving this challenge?
Yeah. So to address that, I guess, yeah, leads are critical for every business. Everyone wants to grow. Let's face it. And the challenges there, of course, as business shifts from traditional face-to-face to digital or online, there's a big grab for market share. So obviously competition. The challenge is to compete. The challenge is to be relevant. How you position your business. We can't be all things to everyone. And I think that's a very important recognition. For us, we specialize in certain areas with our online administration accounting business, and with our crypto services, we do face-to-face, where online exchanges do online only, which is a bit of an irony there in that point. But the reality is that the challenges we face are, again, a competitive market space where everyone's now migrating to go online, and that with it brings challenges of efficiency, driving lower cost to better ROI, return on investment. So we've got to be aware that we've got more competitors than, say, even 2 years ago, or even last year, that are all jumping on the bandwagon. But that means a business has got to be nimble. It's got to adopt new technologies, you suggested, Aditya, and then also secondly have a look at the platforms they're using. to simplify those platforms to make it more efficient to engage, convert, and retain. As I mentioned, with our experience, we would have disparate providers, maybe 4 or 5. With a service like Lead Squared, we can put it all in one house. That
It's
means
awesome.
it's a single cost, but it's also the trackability, which is where we benefit, where we can track all those interactions in one location now compared to going into 5 different portals to extract via an API or another service or a report Excel to interpret that information to better ready the business.
Right. Great that you made this point. And even at Lead Square, as you mentioned, right, it has been our focus to allow simplicity of management of multiple channels, multiple facets of the business from a single platform, simplicity of access, which is placed at the highest level of importance compared to any other capability in the platform. uh, you spoke about competition, so would love to hear from your experience, businesses who stood out, some your own business maybe, or maybe an example of your client's business that stood out, with regards to its competition, in terms of how they went about their outreach, how they went about managing their leads, if we talk about the bare bones processes, and what are the things that made it stand out?
Yeah, sure. I guess we could probably look at our accounting business online. We've seen a good amount of growth, and again, we've run that pretty nimble compared to conventional businesses that would have a lot of overheads like staff, an office space, and of course a lot of some marketing and a lot of networking costs. We've synthesized that all down to online marketing via Facebook and Google, organic drive from existing clients and referrals. And if you look at the spend, it's a fraction of what a traditional accounting business would spend to acquire clients. So from that point of view, and again, we've enhanced our tools, CRM, all our systems to deliver high quality, more quality for our clients. So we've enhanced our systems. We've looked at how we've managed the online space, and again, we're always learning and reviewing who we use and what we can bring on board to improve the business moving forward for 2023. If that addresses those points.
Right. And with that, great segue into a point that I discussed. So I was reading, we were talking about holiday season. I was reading this article somewhere, how businesses can learn from Santa, that how he goes about, just climbs down the funnel in every house, gets into touch with his customers, reads the letters written out, hung out on the socks by the fireplace, knows his customer so well, and he tracks the I'm speaking in the business language, tracks the
Yeah.
customer throughout the year, how what was the good part, what was the bad part, and then then packs it all up into the final experience. So how do you think, how does it translate into how the business processes? So it was a great insight, actually, like, not just having a transactional relationship with the consumer, but keeping a track, yeah, of the overall segment, personalizing your touch, having that continuous relationship with the even if they've not yet transformed into a customer yet, they're just interested to know about your services. We can learn a lot from that. So what do you think about having that continuous relationship with the customer, and do you think that businesses are able to do that, or still there is a long way to go?
That's a great point. I mean, absolutely. I think we're all aiming for that. Where businesses are at will vary depending on the sectors they're in and how much they've adopted online and digitized services. But absolutely, you're right. I think the key for us has been to identify certain segments of the market, target sectors, employment sectors that we know traditionally. We're an online business that focuses on transparency. So we're always targeting IT professionals, financial professionals, and white collar professionals in particular, because if we can be clear about what we do, what we charge, and what a client can expect, then it's our belief that we could be the right fit for those types of clients. And that's the idea, to find the right kind of people so that retention becomes easier. Where we find the wrong kind of people, where that's when the business has issues, and so does the customer. So retention, engagement is critical to filter the opportunities, and we've done that historically. To address that point, yes, Santa does an amazing job of knowing his customers or knowing his it's great, and that's a critical part as well. So we do that by identifying who our message resonates with, and then again within that journey, we I guess like attracts like is the fundamental of any sales in a business, and that's what we aim to do. Coming from my backgrounds, I've got very similar people. Great businesses attract people from different fields, and that's always the challenge for us is to grow into other segments, but not compromise how we offer value and to whom we offer value. Like I said in the beginning, like we can't be everything to everyone, and we need to recognize there are limits to even digitization and online services. It's not for everyone. You know, people certainly in our business, if it's online SMS of accounting, we look at people in their late 60s and 70s even. It's probably not the right fit. Most of our clients are in their 30s, and we do have some that are older, but it's about, I guess, horses for courses, to use that expression. Yeah.
That's so nice. So, you know, the set of points that you made, and hiring the right team is so important. Focusing on customers, not just for the transaction, but also from a relationship perspective. Putting effort, no, so critical to stand out. This to the next theme of our discussion, and and that is about how to grow faster. You know, how to unlock growth in a business. So we've set the processes. We've set the the base platform in terms of digitizing our interactions, in terms of taking our business closer to the customers. But then, what is the strategy for growth? How do we unlock a higher set of higher volume of business opinion? And what have been certain phenomenal growth stories in your experience?
Look, I think it'll probably flow back into the crypto sector, which has had a lot of adoption in the last 5 years. That's fair to say. A lot of the big growth stories, I think, worldwide have been in that sector, good and bad. Again, if you look at the technology that underpins crypto, that's probably been a bigger driver, and the efficiencies, and I guess a whole new market. So I think a lot of businesses are learning from the good, qualities or the mechanisms and the methods that are employed by crypto companies to enter the market, engage their customers, and feed the funnel. So how to grow faster, I guess.
That's great. That's great.
Digitize, marketing, online marketing. It's a combination of really online, that's split depending on what your business is focusing on, and of course B2B network and referral business as well. So I think it's probably the same for most businesses. It's that mix of online, referral network, and existing clients referral.
When you talk about the referral network, talking about also accessing new channels of distribution, right? So, for example, a lot of the or the financial services businesses interact with, this business channel of partners focus on engaging on this particular channel?
Yeah, certainly. I guess partners are important. It depends. I guess every business has a different, percentage mix of how big and how important, network partners are to the growth of their business. For us, online is a big thing. We advertise online because of our low cost and the way we deliver our service through an app and online portal. So for network partners are somewhat important, but it's probably around a 20-25% mix for us. Whereas online's about 60%, and then the rest falls down to referral business for us. And the referral business from existing clients and online marketing is our big mix. But new channels that we could explore, obviously, we look for engagement with crypto exchanges that are more close to how we operate digitally. online as they do. And that's the clear alignment where your goals and your models are very similar to a business makes for a good fit from a client perspective, I find.
This awesome to know. And just putting in some questions that we received from our audience.
Sure.
What are the top 3 online channels or online platforms that you run your campaigns on, or you have had experience of successful campaigns on?
Online platforms, I guess, AdWords, Google, and we look at Facebook, low cost delivery. And we do some localized marketing within our database with an email offer or a promotional offer, which has worked. We've also used our testimonial site partners as well to provide offers. So that's been effective for us. Most of our growth is organic through ranking and I guess a history of being in the space. But yeah, look, for marketing, where it comes to marketing, online get you the best bang for buck, to use that expression, we find.
And when using these channels, when using Google Ads, when using the Facebook ad network, what are the certain key points that a business owner should have in their minds, and how to set up their team or how to set up their capabilities to make the most of these channels?
Yeah, it's probably more daunting for people coming in, given the changes since the pandemic. That's a good point, Aditya. So look, you will need experts in SEO, SEM, and marketing to bring that all to fruition. We're fortunate having done it for that many years when the market was face to face predominantly, when we were just predominantly online, that we've had more experience doing it. But I'd say, look, you do need to have people that can write your copy, design your promotions, and of course, then the art of selecting your keywords for Google. That's also a skill. So you need the right people, without a doubt, to do that. But again, platforms like Lead Squared do a lot of data matching and data monitoring. Where a service like Lead Squared does make it easier for a lot of customers because you've got the analytics from existing similar types of businesses that a customer can employ. And that makes a big difference, particularly when you're entering into an online market. And as you mentioned, your teams and your experts in those areas can be critical in delivering results and growth for the business.
Great to learn from these points, Rob. And again, thanks for sharing these. We talked a lot about businesses and processes that stand out. I would love to have your opinion on the platforms that stand out. Like platforms and solutions and tools. That you've learned, you've experienced. And you have known to work for businesses, known to deliver. And that's the first part. And second part would be, what are certain key capabilities that a business owner should look at while choosing between, say, for example, one CRM to another, or a one marketing platform to another, in your opinion?
Look, unfortunately, we built our own CRM. So, having used the other third-party CRMs like MailChimp for marketing and a variety of others. So I guess I'm more biased because we've developed it and it's been working for us. It's helped us engage our prospects with our website all dovetailed into it. External services, I guess MailChimp is pretty good for a lot of people to start with for mail marketing. But again, you need people to... it's got some intricacies that make it complicated and hard. We've used it and we disbanded it because we built our own simpler system. We found it more efficient. But MailChimp for many businesses works, and it's cost effective as well. Other CRMs like Zoho is very popular for Sugar CRM for a simple CRM shell. But again, it requires customization. So those kind of services are great to start if you're looking to collate client data, provide an information service. So we've used that in very, very early days. We used to use Sugar. We used a very basic shell and then coded everything uniquely. From other marketing, there are a lot of marketing and SEO tools, keyword search tools that you can employ. I'm not going to go into them in detail, but there's quite a few. Again, like I said, one of the reasons we've engaged with Lead Squared is because a lot of those, third party, that time spent identifying services is filtered down with a service like Lead Squared, where you've got all of that within your platform, where you get some reference points to, I guess the integration APIs that are available, which is a good provides you a good idea of where to go, and creates a shortlist, for want of a better term. Or
Awesome, awesome. So, and thanks for sharing that. And when we talk about the CRMs and any digital marketing platform, one key theme that Lead Squared focuses on is providing a minimum or zero coding experience while accessing more capabilities. Because we know that especially for business owners who are starting out, who are in the expansion phase, they would not like to be marred down by limited technical capabilities, because they know what to do, they know which platform to use, but then if using that requires a lot of technical know-how, complexity involving a lot of developers, that just delays the process. So that's one theme that Lead Squared focuses on providing a minimum coding, zero coding, or no coding experience. How important do you feel it is for businesses to have this experience in their services?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think one of the biggest risks for a business and a cost for business is when you're building technology. It's time consuming, and it obviously monetary consuming as well. It costs a lot of money depending on the complexity and the people involved and so forth. Where you can substitute that, raw build phase with pre-existing code that you can adopt, that's obviously going to save you time and money. It's as simple as that. So, coming from a strong coding and a build background, I can tell you that if we had that option, early on, it would have been amazing. It makes a lot of difference, obviously from a cost point of view, and again from a time point of view. Both are very critical ingredients in growth and success.
This is so good, Rob. And we were just connecting, just before this call, about your plans for the holidays. And I just loved your answer on how you're focusing on, although I wish that you have a really good time with your loved ones as well, but how you're focusing on revamping your business, you're utilizing the downtime to really transition into a better experience for your customers. So would love to share that part as well with our audience on what
Absolutely.
you as a business owner are focusing on in the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess my holiday is a bit delayed because, I mean, we always use that downtime at the end of December, all of January, which is pretty quiet for most businesses in Australia. We're revamping our website and enhancing some tools for our SMSF app and platform, so that when we get into launch at the beginning of February, we're going to have greater engagement. I've always said websites like your brochure. It's your shop front. You've got to enhance it. You've got to juice it up. You've got to make it look sparkling and bright. And it's the same with the services within. When you've got a platform-based client base, we've got to enhance that, deliver more value. That we get more interaction, which gives us greater retention. People value what we do, and then we always have a look at where our costs sit with respect to the services we deliver. So that's been our focus, really, to have a look at our online presence, be it our website, and then enhance the app and portal that delivers the services to our clients so that we can make it more efficient. And obviously, a big part of what we're bringing on with Lead Squared is the pipeline management of our leads, and also just to get a gauge of where our existing clients are, where we're finding what we can't identify with current systems is where they're dropping off, because that's something Lead Squared does well as well.
This so awesome, and I hope a lot of business owners can learn a lot from what you're doing, and this message spreads. I'll break the discussion for taking a few questions from the audience now.
Sure.
And one question that jumps to the top of my mind right now is this guy asked that how what went wrong with Sam Bankman-Fried.
Okay.
And how many years do you think he'll get?
Right. It's an interesting one. I guess FTX is a topic of it's a huge topic. When you talk about crypto, I guess unfortunately there's a lot of good stories, a lot of some bad stories. FTX is a story of very fast growth, and I guess the artifice of Sam Bankman-Fried and how he went about it. I guess we're all learning. We're all pretty much feel a bit embarrassed about the fact that we all got, dare I use the word, duped. He very smart man, very philanthropic, but obviously it was very clever marketing, and media and so forth and PR involved that made us very I guess accepting, and I guess not we weren't challenging some of the basis to the business. Unfortunately, what's transpired is really affected a lot of businesses around the world, and as the numbers show, it might be the largest financial collapse in financial history. So it's not good, but I guess on the upside, we can learn a lot of lessons from that. I think we do have to put our critical lens when we're assessing, and I guess this is the same for customers looking at a new business like ours or many of our audience. We need to ask questions about what services are provided at what cost and how. And it's the same thing that I think a lot of people neglected all that with FTX. It grew to the second or third largest exchange inside of 2 years, but nobody wanted to question that, and there needed to be some questions to ask how they did it. We know now, we didn't know then, is the point. And I guess the critical thing we can learn from the SBF experience is, I think everyone, both business owners and customers, need to be aware of there's accountability and responsibility. You need to be able to do some due diligence on who you're going ahead with, and that point we can't stress enough.
And on this point, what I would like to ask is, do you feel that sometimes there's a deterioration of quality of service when especially a smaller business moves from say 200 to 2,000 customers, and then 200,000 and maybe 2 million customers? So do you feel that there is a deterioration of quality of service? Sometimes businesses face these challenges, and how does a business owner navigate? So when the number of leads jump up, a number of customers jump up, how does a business owner navigate the challenge of maintaining the same standards of service that he used to maintain on a smaller number?
I think, look, that's a very important point, and growth has its challenges. No doubt, resourcing, technology, and staffing becomes a bigger concern as you grow bigger and faster. And as the faster you grow, that the strains on a business are to enhance the delivery of, your services, and of course have the right, people there capable of supporting your customers. Looking at FTX, I don't think those were concerns, because they obviously raised a lot of capital, and they were leveraging a lot of it on their books, and a lot that we weren't aware of. But I think the point is, with fast growth comes the key challenges are, absolutely, making sure that you've got the capacity, your servers, your code staff are building at a pace that can meet the client's expectations. No point growing so fast and burning your bridges and losing customers because you're not delivering what you promise.
That's awesome. That's such an important point. And another question that I'd like to ask, and this is one of my favorite questions, which give me a lot of learning every time that when I pose it to experienced leaders like you, is how does the financial services landscape look like 20 years in the future? Like 20 years ago, nobody could have imagined there would be the small screen in our hands used to manage our bank accounts, make payments. We'll move way beyond cash money in our daily lives. Even 30 years ago, right? Even the concept of a credit card, which is so basic now, right? It does not come across an innovation. So now what's the next leap? What are the ways in which the business will evolve in the next 10, 20 years in your experience?
I guess the good side of crypto, we've talked a lot about crypto and all the the innovation there, and more so the fast growth, and how what underpins crypto is the innovation of blockchain, and to an extent smart contracts, and services like NFTs. So looking at the future, I can see that Web3 is going to be a big important way for client data to be democratized. That's going to be a big change that's coming through, and a lot of new businesses are looking to adopt Web3 based technology in their delivery. Obviously, AI. There's more and more talk about artificial intelligence and how that can help identify, retain, and segment your prospects and your clients. Looking at virtual reality and metaverse, virtual reality technology, I guess, is going to become very, very big. Seeing the growth and the investments from Microsoft and other similar businesses, even Google to a lesser extent, where we can effectively, engage with teams of people worldwide. Online means for businesses like us, we've got people all over the world that are working in our business. We're not limited to one geography, one location. So virtual reality certainly, and metaverse will have a big say in where businesses and how businesses operate and how they engage their internal staff and their clients. So big three things: Web3, metaverse, and AI. I think are going to be quite, I guess, important facets to any business.
That's great to know. And are there again, the holiday season, bit of a downtime when you can catch up on your reading as well. So are there any resources that you recommend to business owners to keep abreast of new developments, of new technologies, new processes, and just innovations that they should know about, and they can probably take a shot at adopting as well?
I guess you can look at enrolling in courses to learn more about things like simple things like Web3 and how that's going to change the landscape for consumer data management, probably focusing on that. Magazine subscriptions to learn more about broader topics in the digital market and cryptocurrency in particular. It goes without saying that those are two good points of reference and early calling points. So yeah, lots of small courses online on Coursera, places like that. Online magazines and online publications. If you're looking at crypto-based technology, quite a few of them. If you do your Googles, free plug there for Google. But basically, it's a good way to filter what you can add to your learning and certainly to your business as well in terms of adopting newer technology to grow your business.
That's great to know. And with this, I'll also come to the point of teams, right? Like
Sure.
how and you also mentioned earlier in our discussion that hiring the right team is so critical. Not just for business execution, but for business continuity, because retaining them is so important, and then having them deliver what you require is so important. So how do you? What are certain best practices that you recommend when setting up a team, how to identify the right resources, especially in the context of this new economy, like new practices of digitization? So how do you find people that work best for you? That's number one. And then how do you train or transform your existing resources into utilizing the new age solutions or adopting to the new way of working?
Yeah, I guess that's the skill. I guess it can. With time, we've learned to be able to identify the right kind of people, be it from a coding background or from a support background. We've got a profile of what we do and the kind of people that with experience has taught us who to look for. It's still it can be hit and miss sometimes, but our reliance has always been on technology to filter, and what we use is human resources basically to not as much qualify but convert, where we know that again, one of your lead squared services will enable us to see analytics to show us how warm the lead is to a conversion using the tools you've got in your platform, which is why we're engaging you, is to help us to refine a lead to know how warm they are before we go ahead and prospect them. I guess prospecting and talking about teams and support aspects of business, prospecting can be very costly and time consuming and monetary consuming as well. So bearing that in mind, I think, I guess to summarize it, it's not an easy thing. Experience is helpful. The more experience you've got, if not, you're going out to HR companies and a variety of technology companies to consult to you to be able to refine how you build your teams based on a subset of digital services that embody and or add in your physical staff at some stage in the journey.
Mhm. Uh, you've touched on such an important point here, that prospecting is so costly, and sales probably, especially the prospecting part or the managing the sales cycle part, can be the costliest single activity in the process of generating the revenue, and yet the most critical. So you really need to qualify, you really need to refine your leads before jumping on to the next part in the process. And when you say you mentioned refinement of leads, right? would love to have your insights on this process. What are the finer details in the process of refining, qualifying your leads, or even disqualifying your leads? So what are the certain points that you have in mind and you like to advise to our audience as well?
Thank you. So I guess again, the focus for us has always been to understand our key market segments. We for us, we're looking at more white collar customers that like to read and synthesize our terms and our conditions and so forth. And we can gauge that very quickly. They've done we provide typically when we engage a customer for online accounting, we provide some pre-education tools or links. We find that the better prospects have already done that work. They know what our pricing is, and then we refine it with some questions where we've got support people that will contact them, and the questions tend to be similar. So we know from history that they're quite warm and able to convert into a full customer. And I guess with lead filtering, the worrying concern for us, when we get leads that come through and they haven't really looked at our information, they don't, after being on the site, they haven't broken down aspects of our business. We see that can be an issue because fundamentally we're an online business. So we require people to, synthesize information. That's critical because the service is delivered online. And whilst we have support through email, chat, and phone, the majority of it requires people to retain information. There's not as much reliance on someone piecemealing or feeding information to kind of like a business development manager or a business overseeing manager to manage a client interaction. So I think leads, how you qualify leads, is critical for a business. As you mentioned, Aditya, it could be very, very costly, and it can eat up a lot of capital with very little return. So again, we're relying on companies like Lead Squared to filter our prospects. So that, we've got a lot of prospects, and that's where our growth is going to be focused on with the Lead Squared platform, where we've got a lot of prospects, conversions are good, and measuring those ratios and looking at how we can better understand those people that we know the market segments or the sectors that we want customers from, and we know the customers from history that we don't want at all. I think a more polite way of putting it is that they're probably not a right fit for our business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So lead filtering and tools make a big difference.
That's such an important point, and not just focusing on the process of qualifying your leads, but also having the tools to support that process.
Yeah.
And this again is our focus at Lead Square, to help businesses, to help at every stage of the sales process, not just in the conversion and the onboarding stage, but also how you go about managing your outreach and picking the best leads to pursue, strengthening your process of qualification, which is so important to bring down costs, cost of sales. Which again is a key challenge, not just in a general sense, but in today's market, where we are going to a hard time. Probably it'll be a longer time frame before the recessionary trends, they subside. So bringing down your cost of sales, cost of outreach, making the best of what you have is so important in this scenario. With that question, I'd like to open up the floor to now some of the questions from our audience.
Mhm.
And we like to take some of the questions, and I already have a few of them in. So the first is, Shivani, I noticed that you'll be joining.
Yeah, I'm just here to help in the show. Yeah.
Great. So yeah, the first is again on the channels of outreach, right? So we already discussed about what are the best channels of outreach, and what are the best practices you deploy in your teams, in your processes, to make the most of these channels of outreach. But what's the ideal mix of channels, both online, offline, and partners? What's the ideal mix of leads, if there is some sort of a formula? So for example, for a successful business, try to generate around 60 to 70% of your leads online, or maybe it's reverse in your opinion, that maybe in your earlier stages, try to generate most of your leads through partners channel or through referrals. So do you advise there's some sort of a formula that the businesses can target?
That's a tough question, and as you mentioned, Aditya, it's really comes down to the business. Most businesses will have I guess typically a large network of referrers, and some not as much. Businesses like us, we did start initially with a groundswell of referral partners, but we gravitated very quickly to online from a point of view that we wanted to make things cost effective and more transparent. And we felt that we could market those services to people that understood that. We'd get a higher engaging client, a more educated client that would make our business easy to run. And that's proved to be correct. So having said that, again, talking about teams and processes and the mix of offline and online, it is a tricky thing. It does come down to the individual business. So, depending on your strengths, for businesses that have got a very big mortgage broker business is a good example. They'll have typically a very good network of, accountants, lawyers, and financial advisors maybe, and that'll enhance their delivery. Whereas for businesses like us that in the online field, online, Google, Facebook, and co-shared marketing partnership methods make a bigger difference for us. The problem with our model is that we don't have the ability to be able to mark up fees to pay everyone to satisfy the commercial requirements for partner engagement, which ultimately what it does is it might enhance their delivery, but it compromises us. So we've got to find the right the compromise to be able to find the right win-win for both parties. And with that in mind, I guess the mix for us has always been more online and little reliance on offline. So because it's, again, to build those campaigns time consuming, and you need to make sure you're doing a DD, as we talked about FTX and that experience. You need to be very careful about who you market with and who you co-market with, because that can really blow up in your face.
This is so important that choosing your channels, choosing your lead mix. There's no cookie cutter approach for every business. So depending upon your priorities, your strategy, and what you want to achieve at a particular stage of your business. So for example, if you're just starting out in early stages of your business growth, one of the key qualities or one of the key KRAs for your business would also be about identifying the right business processes, reaching to a high level of service. And that means having a lot of customer interaction, not just at onboarding stage but also at prospecting stage, right? And really involved, engaged, even in-person customer interactions with your team members as much as possible would be necessary. And once the processes are set, once your business processes and products are standardized, what makes a particular offering stand out. For example, maybe it's the interest rate that you offer, or the variety of options that you offer for a particular. So for example, a mortgage broker can offer various different products for a particular customer. So what your USP is. Then it's all about reaching out to a large number of audiences for your products. So that then probably shifting to online in addition to the offline channels can really help. Another question that I have is, again, it comes back to the team. So what's the minimum possible team mix, like in running the running the business? So like, for example, how many folks in marketing are required to run solutions? We talked about so many solutions. We talked about Mailchimp, we talked about Lead Squared, we talked about various other CRMs and marketing automation platforms. So what's the team mix required to run these solutions for a business owner?
I think it's comes down to the business and how they integrate those services in their business. My goal has always been to minimize that. Being online, I've always wanted to be online because I could see the future as it's playing out now. I was very fortunate to have that crystal ball 10 years ago, but it's played out well for me. But the reality is that we don't rely as much on people because I guess making a comment and not to be a criticism, conventional businesses are face-to-face place high reliance on key stakeholders and people within their business, be it development officers or advisors and so forth. And you find traditionally their books of business hemorrhage because that person leaves and the clients follow them. We've built a business that's based on a brand. It's based on certain KPIs and deliverables that mean that anybody is transposable. unfortunately, that's how we operate. It's been very successful, and it's also been a great way for us to, engender more ROI, a greater return for our business. Because fundamentally, if we've had people in the past when I had 2 or 3 mortgage brokers, and when you build up that relationship, it's like any business, becomes a key
Mm.
risk to the business as well. So I think talking about teams, for us, it's always been about embedding technology, focusing on the deliverability, the efficiency of it, and secondly, the cost. We've always relied lastly on people within the business, because that can interchange. That can change
Mm.
in any given moment. And thankfully, since post the pandemic, we've really had very little questions about it. Certainly, in our early days, we had more staffing, and we still do. But the reality is that we've intertwined technology to deliver a great service at a great cost point, and we've ensured that with experience and our systems, we're delivering on time, well in advance to most of our competitors.
That's such a brilliant point. And moving on, so I have this another very interesting question. Like,
Sure.
so we see that various parts of Australia, various segments, various communities, various cities are at different level of maturity. So what when it comes to access or the expectations on the financial services segment, so what which of the areas or which of the cities or communities do you feel are sort of untapped segments in the market? And do you feel that just focusing on probably the large metropolises, that's the key, or spreading out, trying to identify those untapped pockets is also important? And which ones do you recommend?
That's a great question, Aditya. I mean, again, we've always focused on being a service all around Australia, and we have some expats in other countries that, within the confines of what we do, are allowed. But historically, our marketing has always worked for the big capital cities when we marketed online: Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Lately, we've had people from the smaller states and territories as well. So we haven't really defined that in the sense of seeing an opportunity with particular states and their lack of understanding of, again, with online businesses and so forth like ours. But we're pretty agnostic in that respect. In that, we know what kind of sectors our clients come from. We can see that when it comes to our contact forms, and we know what we're looking for. And again, as I mentioned before, being an online business, we're cognizant that the people that come onto our business need to be able to synthesize information. If they're not the right fit, and we try to make that point very early on in engagement, because we know from history, from the very early days when we had, dare I say, in inverted commas, the wrong kind of people, it costs the business. We can't afford it. So those efficiencies are pretty important in filtering. Um,
Mm.
and I guess for our market is all of Australia. I can only speak for myself. For other
Mm.
businesses and business people that are attending this webinar, will probably have different ways of engaging their prospects. And again, that marketing mix we talked about, online referral network, and of course your existing clients' referrals. Probably that kind of mix and promotions will be the gamut that most businesses will tend to employ.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Thanks for that, Rob. And I think we'll take a break from the questions now. So Shivani, do you advise we can focus a little more on queries, because I believe we are almost at the end of our session.
Yes, we are towards the end now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So, I'll probably park all the questions, and we love to share this information and reach out to all of our audiences for now. And what we'll do is we'll conclude the session. We'll thanks for participating, Rob, and thanks to all our
Pleasure.
audiences as well for being a part of this session.
Sure.
We love for you to reach out for any of your queries. Even post the session, we have our contact details shared with you. And best of luck for the holidays. I believe that this session was useful and insightful to you to utilize the learnings as you start off with the new year. And all the best for the new beginnings. And thanks again, Rob, for being a part of this session, and
Pleasure.
absolutely loved
Thank
your
you for inviting me.
insights. And it was a privilege to be a part of this discussion.
Thank
Over
you.
to you,
Thank you
Shivani.
so much. And yeah, I can't let you both go without knowing your holiday plans, as this is a holiday edition. So, Rob, what is your next few weeks look like?
Well, I guess we're winding down for the year and really just focusing on family as we get into Christmas and the New Year celebrations, and thereafter, yeah, as I mentioned before, be focusing on rebranding the business, updating our site, and doing a bit of internal system build. But yeah, there's no loss in terms of family time, and given the time of year it is. But yeah, look, it's good. Looking forward to the break, and I think as everyone is, it's been a long year, and looking forward to a great start of 2023.
Awesome. Great. Aditya, what about you?
Well, I'm off to the mountains.
Lovely.
So yeah, yeah, looking forward to some trips, having good time with family, and apart from that, as Rob mentioned, also focusing on so that today the world is is in such a flux, right? There's so many new innovations. Recently, I was reading about this Chat GPT, the new AI chatbot, which everybody's accessing,
Yeah.
getting answers, brilliant answers on. So just playing around with new solutions, trying to learn about some new technologies. I'll definitely be taking a few courses on Web3, Rob. I'll take that advice and utilize this time. So yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aditya, for moderating the session, and thank you so much, Rob, for giving us your time. I think we had an excellent discussion and lots to learn from this. We'll definitely share it with those who couldn't make it today. So thank you so much again, and to the audience who have joined us. Very warm wishes from all of us at Lead Squared. I hope you have a wonderful break. So thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.